Now, we're looking for y equals mx plus b for the general equation of a line, because if you notice on numbers 1, 2, and 3, on all of those questions, Jared, I'm not in the mood to deal with it, right? Gotta grow up here, kid. On all three questions, 1, 2, and 3, it says write the equation of a line, write the equation of a line, write the equation of a line. And as soon as they start talking to me about writing the equation of a line, I need to think y equals mx plus b. And in the course of thinking y equals mx plus b, I look at number 1. It says write the equation of a line whose slope is negative 2/5 and whose y-intercept is 2. And that means I'm going to get y equals negative 2/5 x plus 2. The biggest mistake I saw in this question, not so much in this class, but in the other class, is kids forgot to put the x in there. They wrote y equals negative 2/5 plus 2. Don't forget the x. You gotta be careful with that, Sebastian. You'll get me to yawn like crazy. All right. Next up, write the equation of a line that's parallel to y equals 1/2 x, but with the same y-intercept as y equals 4x minus 2. What do you know about slopes of parallel lines?
The same slope.
They have the same slope. So that means that if the slope of this guy is 1/2 right here, then the new line has to be 1/2 because it's parallel, so it has the same slope. But it has the same y-intercept as this guy, so the y-intercept has to be negative 2. All right. Now, oh, I know what the problem is. Idiot me. Well, at least I think the pen's going to work. Pretty sure it's going to work. All right, so, but, yeah, it is recording, but the good news is that now I'll get some backup batteries out of the deal. Okay, so next up, what's the equation of this line? And it passes through the points 2, 0 and 4, negative 2. So I make a mark at 2, 0, and I make a mark at 4, negative 2. And then I draw that line, and I extend the line nice and long. I want that line to be long enough, folks, that it touches the y-axis, because when it does that, it tells me what the y-intercept is. In this particular case, it touches here, so that means, since it touches at 2, that the y-intercept is 2. And if you look at the slope, it goes down 2 over 2 or down 1 over 1. So the slope is negative 1, the y-intercept is 2, and I can express that a lot of different ways. Y equals negative x plus 2. This is the cleanest way to do it, because when we don't write a number, we assume it's 1. Or I could do y equals negative 1x plus 2, or negative 1. It should say over 1x plus 2. In the last class, a lot of kids wrote y equals negative 2 over 2x plus 2. Maria, ahead in the game. And then the last part, kids got messed up on, because a lot of kids also wrote the equation of a line. And we're not looking for you to write the equation of a line now. What we're looking for you to do is to just say what the slope is. I circled the beginning there. See, it says, what is the slope? So I have to get it in y equals form, so I divide everything by 3. And the slope is whatever's in front of the x. In this case, it is 4/3. Any questions about that? We're good? Okay. Next. I'm going to see if I have time to come back to the drawing for number 1. I'm not sure if I'm going to or not. But I can do this average rate of change question. And I did not give you a drawing. So instead, we're going to just do B and C. What is another word that means the same thing as rate of change? What's a single word that means the same exact thing as rate of change? What? No. Come on. End the game. What's the same exact thing as rate of change, guys? I'd rather not tell you what it starts with. I think you guys should know what it is.
Distance?
Definitely not distance. Rate of change. Slope. Slope is the same exact thing as rate of change. We really should have known that. I don't, it's a Monday, We should have known it. What's the rate of change or the slope on letter B here? 5/2. If I look for the slope here, it's up 4/1. So it's 4/1. What's bigger, 5/2 or 4/1? 4/1. 5/2 is 2.5. You can take your calculator and do it. What's 5 divided by 2? 2.5. So what's bigger, 2.5 or 4? 4. Okay. So now we get up to today's lesson. And, the yawns creeping in. Pretty bad when I've already got the yawns on a Monday. You know, they're talking about a little bit of snow Wednesday night.
I thought it was supposed to be like 60 degrees.
Into Thursday morning, no, not at all. So, we'll see what we get. I think tomorrow's supposed to be like 50, but I know they're talking about snow, temperatures in the low 30s and snow on Wednesday night and Thursday morning. Now, I don't know what they're gonna predict in a couple of more days, but. All right, good, we got it working. Excellent, look at that. 0, 0, 3, 4, 3, 0. And those are coordinates A, B, C. Thank God I got this thing working again. Very cool. Okay, now, it then says that we're going to, and here's this new word, dilate. Who knows what the word dilate means in the English language?
Make big.
To make bigger, well, it could be bigger, it could also be smaller, believe it or not. But it definitely involves a change of size. And normally, we think of it as bigger. Right, eyes dilating is a great example. If you go to the eye doctor, anybody here ever been to the optometrist? The eye doctor, you go in there and he puts those drops in your eyes, and then you walk outside a couple of minutes later and the sun hits you, you're like, oh. Or another example is if we do get a lot of snow, you walk outside after the cloud cover's gone and the bright light of the daylight hits the snow and then it hits your eyes, you're like, oh, it's too much.
Or when you're in a movie theater and you walk out and your eyes hurt.
Yeah, something like that. Or, this is a little bit graphic, but given the moment or the timing of the moment, it would work. If we're lucky enough for Ziva to conceive and to get pregnant by Safar, then that would mean that she would eventually have puppies, and eventually would be 63 days after she ovulates. And those 63 days later, what is normally, the puppies would normally never fit. But there's this incredible thing where the mommy dog's hips actually spread apart, and they call that dilating. And well, that's why it hurts so much, because your bones are actually spreading apart so the puppy can pass through. So that's gotta hurt.
Like humans, the
All right.
women's too.
Any man in this room who thinks he can take pain, women take pain better than men take pain,
Good.
because they have to deal with that.
Jason.
And what happens is, women are actually, in the hormones that women have, there's things that can kill pain better than any hormones that the men have. So men like to be tough. You know, if they get hurt, they may get mentally tough about it, but their ability to bear physical pain doesn't approach that of a woman. Women deal with much more physical pain than men do. If you think that's not true, then you go through what the woman goes through and try to explain to me how you suffer as much as the woman suffers. Give you an idea, a baby weighs about 8 pounds. It's about the size of a bowling ball. Good luck.
Oh,
Now-
no, please no.
All right. Now, to dilate means to change size, but as Tori said, generally speaking, it's used in the connotation of making bigger. In this case, it's by a scale factor of 2. So if you're dilating by a scale factor of 2, then that means you are going to make things twice as big. What operation do you use to make things twice as big? multiplication. So all I have to do is take each of these points, A, B, and C, and multiply by 2. And I create a new point, A prime, B prime, C prime. So what's 0 times 2? 0. What's 0 times 2?
0.
0, good. What is, this is now B prime, what's 3 times 2?
6.
6. What's 4 times 2? 8.
8.
And now let's do C prime, what's 3 times 2?
6.
6. And what's 0 times 2?
0.
0. So I'm going to go to 0, 0, same point. Then I'm going to go to 6, 0, that's B prime. Then I'm going to go to, oh, did I have this backwards? I'm sorry, this is B and this is C. So this is C prime. And then I got to go to 6, 8, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. And it's important when you graph this that you put the little primes. What I mean by prime is these little marks, little dashes or hang downs or apostrophes, whatever you want to call them, that are right there. Now, the blue triangle, every leg of the blue triangle, every side of the blue triangle is twice as long as on the red triangle because the scale factor is 2. Now, if we test little is to big as little is to big, you're going to see that it works. This is a distance of 3. The whole distance is a distance of 6. So 3 is to 6. This red here is a distance of 4. And this blue is a distance of 8. And if it's true that little is to big as little is to big, little is to big as little is to big. If you cross multiply, they'll be right. What's 3 times 8? 24. I always think of Miss Antos whenever I do this. She always used to talk about butterfly wings. What's 4 times 6? 24. So 24 equals 24. Check. Okay? Any questions about it? All right. What was that?
That's all we're gonna do.
No, we got more to do. So what do you notice about the size of these two triangles? Are they the same size or not?
No.
No. And that's the first thing you need to take away from a dilation. Kim, the first thing you need to take away is this. Dilations change size. You know, when I was a kid growing up, I did not have the happiest of childhoods. And I was constantly, my knees got operated on and all this other stuff. So I was in the hospital, I was on home teaching, I had all that stuff kind of going on there. And I rarely watched cartoons. Very rarely. But I would watch this one cartoon every once in a while. And it was called, it was like Super Friends. It was, they had this thing called the Hall of Justice. And Batman and Robin and Superman and Aquaman and I think like Captain Planet.
Captain.
And
What?
Captain America, whatever. There are all these superheroes in there, and they lived in the Hall of Justice or the League of Justice or whatever it was.
Justice League.
Is that what it was?
I used to watch that all the time.
And there used to be the Wonder Twins, and they had these rings, and they'd go, Wonder Twins unite, and they'd put these wings together, and the superheroes would come in. So I only watched this about 5 times, and every single time I watched it, it was the same episode. You ever get like that? Like you never watch the show, but then if you turn the show on, it just seems to be the same episode,
Reruns.
right? Like SVU,
Oh my goodness.
right? You know, it's
All you do
constant,
is
right?
watch the same episode.
Right. The same episode comes on, and it was always the same thing. There was an incredible evil scientist, and the evil scientist, would trick the Super Friends into going into some giant shrinking machine. And they would go into the room, and he would turn on the shrinking machines, and all the Super Friends would go from normal size to like this big. And then these little itty bitty tiny little Super Friends. And then the Wonder Twins would have to save them, and inevitably they would reverse the machine, and it would make them bigger. Or the movie that you guys are probably familiar with, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids,
Oh my
and
goodness.
Honey, I Blew Up the Kids,
Oh my goodness.
right? That's like dilating. Shrink them, make them smaller, blow them up, make them bigger. I know one thing, I would not want a chunky little kid walking around the streets of Manhattan big enough to bounce into skyscrapers. So dilations change the size of triangles. All right? Now, let's scroll this up a little bit. It wants us to, I erased it. We would have used the distance formula, sorry about that. All right, so let's take a look at some of these other dilations that we have going on here. If I'm going to dilate the point -3,4 by a scale factor of 5, what operation? ¿Qué es una operación? What operation is dilate?
I don't know what you just.
We just did it a minute ago. Sebastian? Yeah, and what operation do I use to do that? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Multiply, good. So if it says here, let's dilate the point -3,4 by a scale factor of 5, what do you think I get? What comma what?
Oh,
-15, comma, 20. Yeah, I'm just gonna multiply both of them by 5. Kinda a little bit like distributing. Now, I don't always wanna write out all these words. Math people are really brilliant and math people are really lazy. So when they write D2, that means all of these words. It means dilate the 0.49 by a scale factor of 2. So if I do D2 to the 0.49, what do I get? 8, comma, 18. Good. What about if I do number 4? Dilate by a scale factor of -3, 2, comma, 5. -6, comma, -15. All I do is -3 times 2 is -6. -3 times 5 is -15. So as soon as it says dilate, I multiply. Jason, we don't get up in the middle of class. We leave it on your desk, get it as you go out the door. All right, next one. Let's plot the point 0, 0 and the point 2, 3. Find the length of this line. Okay, everybody? 0, 0, 2, 3. Now, let's you make a right triangle, and let's do the Pythagorean theorem and find out how long that line is. Go ahead. You know, if you're gonna dress like a complete bum, you could at least wear your jammies. It's jammy day. Come on, draw a picture. Let's go, Jay. Now, if I do make this into a right triangle, I drop that down, I drop that down. How long is this leg over here? 2. How long is this leg? 3. What does the Pythagorean theorem say?
leg plus
Leg squared plus what?
leg squared.
Leg squared is what?
Hypotenuse squared.
Hypotenuse squared. Good. So that's 2 squared plus 3 squared equals h squared. What's 2 squared? 4. 3 squared?
9.
Equals h squared. So h squared equals 13. Now let's square root both of them. And let's do this to the nearest 10. So on your calculator, do square root of 13. What do we get?
3.6.
Is it 3.6? Okay, so we'll call it 3.6. Now notice what it says to do. It says let's dilate by a scale factor of 2. So if I do 0, 0, dilated by a scale factor of 2, what do I get?
0, 0.
Why is this not changing color? It would be 0, 0. Good, what about 2, 3 by a scale factor of 2? 4. Come on, 3 times 2? 6. So let's go 0, 0, and then let's go 4, 6. Now let's drop a right triangle there, find out how long that one is. Go ahead. And when you get your answer, convert it to a decimal. I think you get that H is 7.2.
Yeah.
So notice the length also got twice as big. Please put those calculators back. Let's get the room all cleaned up. And then I will post that video tomorrow. I will not have time today.
Victoria Weaver, she comes to make a Victoria Weaver.
Aiden Gomes to guidance, Brenda Sukuliman to guidance,